Okay, it's time to take another ride on this Commando, and hopefully if I've got the camera aimed appropriately it might be possible to see I've removed the velocity stacks, and on the yard at least I had to adjust the carburetor mixture screws and tickover screws quite a bit to get a tickover again, but I seem to be able to get what I would say was a much more steady and slightly slower tickover than before. Certainly when I removed the velocity stacks it didn't want to tick over at all until I adjusted the mixture and, like I say, the tickover screws. So let's see how things go, and I've got my little screwdriver with me should I need it. Alright, okay, I'm not going to tick over that soon then. Let's go and see what we get anyway. There. Oh, speedometer has stopped working now. Right, no tick over when I pull the clutch in, throttle off. what we got now then. No tickover. Right, let's get my screwdriver out. I'll keep filming if possible. Just move the camera down a little. Get my screwdriver. I'm going to try and set a tickover. I'm still filming. Let's try and get a real world tickover. Right. We've got one now. That was just the tiniest tweak on each of the throttle stop screws. Right, let's try that. We nearly kept ticking over on the roof there. Let's see what we've got as we slow down and come to a stop. Okay, so we got 1100, 1200 there. At a standstill, but as before when the velocity stacks were fitted, it doesn't want to tick over when we're on the... Holding on to a tick over there, 1000 RPM. Let's see what happens now then. Come to a stop here. Alright, the engine's going to stop. Right, okay, well I'll just start you again, engine. Right, we're ticking over at about 1200 RPM. We can roll down a hill without the velocity stacks. Pulled it down to 1000. There we are, that'll do, that's enough of the bus. There we are, ticking over at about 1200 RPM. Ticking over at 1000. That's better than it was with the velocity stacks. There we are, 1100 RPM I would say that is, maybe nudging 12. One time I wanted to actually wait, although we'll do it here. There we are. At 1200 RPM perhaps. So what we got is we got less difference between the static tickover and the tickover you can get on the move without the velocity stacks. I can get much more reliable and slower tickover without the velocity stacks, because I can get it ticking over at 1100 or so RPM, where with the velocity stacks it seemed to want to be going nearer 1500, and it could fluctuate up and down from that. It hasn't done that since I removed them. Once again, ticking over about 1100 RPM. One last thing to do, hopefully. See if I can switch it off. switch it back on, give it a kick without any throttle and see what we get, if anything. The Tickover. Right, that has definitely got to be the best yet. Although for some reason, like I said on the way out, the speedometer has now decided to stop working. So other than that, nice clean exhaust. I think we've still got the odd tiny, very tiny oil leak, but I've stopped a few of them. And I think as it is now, it'll be quite possible to live with. So that's where I'm leaving it, and it probably, I would imagine, I don't know, but I would imagine that the jetting in these carburetors is perhaps set to specs, which if they are, would be set to sort of allow for an airbox, which we haven't got on this. And in view of me taking off the velocity stacks and getting such an improvement, I would imagine fitting an airbox might be rather helpful. But I've been in touch with the owner, we've spoken, and he's seen my videos and he's happy with it the way it is, and I can see that the speedometer has stopped working because the cable has come out the clock. So that's an easy fix. I'll screw that back in a moment, and I believe this one is going to go home tomorrow and be replaced by something else. But it's been a bit of a head scratcher, this one, but I think I finally got there.